What's up, everybody? Andrew Mahone here with Tricky Jim at Full Grip Games. Today I'm going to be showing off Nick Robinson's tournament-winning Sandaconda V Coalossal deck. Very cool deck. He was able to win a tournament where Arceus, Dialga, and Palkia was not allowed to be played. So without ADP, a Stage 2 deck wins. Who would have thought? Let's take a look at the list. Nick Robinson is a very accomplished player in his own right. He's a national champion, and I love his take on this Sandaconda V Coalossal deck. Coalossal is the backbone of the deck with its tar generator ability that reads: once during your turn, you may attach a fire energy card, a fighting energy card, or one of each from your discard pile to your Pokemon in any way you like. So we want to get energy into the discard pile, and we want to set up Coalossal, and I really love the inclusion of Hapu in this list with 4 copies of Hapu, which allow you to look at the top 6 cards of your deck, put 2 of them into your hand, and discard the other cards. Helps us to explosively set up that Coalossal by digging deep into our deck, getting us the cards we need, and then also helping get energy into the discard pile. I think Hapu really cool when combined with Jirachi and that Stellar Wish ability, allowing you to look at the top 5 cards of your deck and reveal a trainer card you find there and put it into your hand. So on turns where we use Hapu and Jirachi, we can dig up to 11 cards, which is really powerful to dig for that Rare Candy Coalossal combination, which is essential to getting this deck up and going. And Nick said on Twitter that he got a ton of turn 2 Coalossals with this deck, that it just works like a dream, very consistent. So I love that aspect of this list. Now there's no hand disruption to be seen in this deck, so no Marnies, no reset stamps. This deck is meant to be aggressive and set up fast to start firing off big Sand Breath attacks, which notably can knock out Zacian V, dealing 220 damage, and also one-hit KOs the popular Eternatus VMAX. So taking a great matchup against Eternatus and then also being able to KO Zacian is a huge boon for this Sandaconda card. Sand Breath deals 220 damage, but you do have to discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. But that is no problem, since we do have Tar Generator to consistently accelerate that energy back from the discard pile. The Jirachi engine being played with just 4 copies of Switch, and I really like that. I mean, didn't really bother utilizing the scoop up net or anything like that. Just saying, okay, probably only going to Stellar Wish a couple times throughout the game. Once the deck sets up, you don't really need to Stellar Wish anymore, so you're not going to need too many switches throughout the course of the game, just enough to set the deck up with Stellar Wish. A lot of times also you could just kind of let the Jirachi get KO'd in the active and then come in with Sand Breath and start firing off big attacks for 220 damage. As a backup attacker, we've also got Ninetales V in the deck with Nine-Tailed Shapeshifter. You can choose one of your opponent's attacks and use it as this attack for 3 energy. And Flamethrower deals a nice vanilla 180 damage. Super good against any sort of Lucario and Melmetal deck that you might run into. So I really like that inclusion. And then Cramorant V with the Spit Shot obviously can close out any game that your opponent has a Dedenne-GX on the bench. Spit Shot easily one-hit KOs Dedennes, dealing 160 damage to the bench. Also can finish off any sort of VMAX that you might have softened up but not fully knocked out with Sand Breath. And then we do have Crobat and Dedenne for consistency. Love the Cape of Toughness on the Sandacondas to give them a nice beefy 270 HP, making them pretty difficult to take out. Other than that, just a very straightforward and consistent list. I love the inclusion of Viridian as well to help fix your energy. It also helps you to get energy into the discard pile for that Coalossal's Tar Generator ability. Let's check the deck out in some gameplay and let me know, what do you think of this Sandaconda V Coalossal deck in the comments below. Looks like I'm going first this game, and we get paired against Eternatus VMAX, so it should be a great matchup for us. I know Nick was able to win that Hyperlux tournament, facing a lot of Eternatus. Since ADP was not legal for play for that tournament, there was a lot of Eternatus VMAX at the event. So we're going to go and data change this on the first turn. We get to put a fighting energy into the discard pile, which is good for us, and just see the next 6 cards. And we should just be able to have a very successful turn 2, it looks like. I mean, this is everything we could possibly want. And I saw that Nick was joking on Twitter about getting turn 2 Coalossal almost every single game with this deck. So it's absolutely amazing the consistency that this deck can have with the Jirachi Stellar Wish engine combined with Hapu. And I think Hapu is a really creative deck building decision for this particular list. The fact that Hapu not only helps you to dig the Coalossal Rare Candy combination out of your deck, but it also helps you to get energy into the discard pile, which can be extremely valuable. And we see my opponent actually able to just Marnie me into complete garbage. So sure enough, no turn 2 Coalossal coming out here. We are just going to have to Sand Eater and pass, which is fine. Certainly have seen worse situations. I can put this other Rolycoly down, and I think I'm not going to bother attaching to the active. Maybe just attach to the bench, and that way I can get a little bit more of a stable board state. I mean, I guess we might as well attach to the active, because then if my opponent does not get the knockout, somehow, some way, they don't have it, then we get to take a, Sand Breath knockout the following turn, which I think would be very good for us. Now, Marnie, of course, is going to hold back this Stage 2 deck a little bit, being set to 4 cards on the first or second turn of the game. Definitely gets in the way of us trying to smooth out our draws, but sure enough, here comes another Marnie. So maybe these next 4 cards are going to look better than our last 4, and they do have the VMAX. They've got the 2 energy. They've got a backup Eternatus over here ready to go. I do find the Hapu, though, so that's very good. We got a Cape of Toughness as well. I don't have any fire energy in the discard pile yet. I could have played that Viridian down in my original hand and discarded the fire energy out of that hand. That might have been an option available to me, but I wanted to save the stadium because you don't know if your opponent plays like Black Market Prism Star or something like that, so I didn't want to just throw down the stadium early in case it could have been a useful stadium to maybe bump whatever my opponent plays. You never know if Eternatus is going to be running that Black Market Prism Star. So they will take a knockout here, and they're going to take their 2 prizes as well, which is going to be a very good start for them. I certainly do need to kind of pop off this turn in order to keep pace in this game. So we're going to put the Jirachi active, and then I think we Hapu first, and then we Stellar Wish, and that's going to give us the biggest amount of dig in our deck available to us. So looks like I would like to grab probably, yikes, this is a rough hand to look at here for sure. I think maybe the Quick Ball Pokemon Communication is certainly not helping either. I mean, I could get myself a Carkol, but not much else. So this seems really rough. I could Quick Ball potentially and try to draw into everything off of a Crobat or something like that. Just seems really bad, actually. So I think that we are going to grab the Quick Ball and potentially a Pokemon Communication. Seems okay. We've got the Cape of Toughness here. Still no fire energy yet. I can Quick Ball this, and there is Crobat in the deck, so that's an option available to us. I don't need to necessarily put the Cape of Toughness anywhere special. We can put this here, and then I can put this there, and I kind of want to use, save the Pokemon Communication, I think, in the hand. That's fine. But I do need to draw into an awful lot here in order to have that successful turn. We did not find the switch, so that would have been, then I could have maybe Stellar Wished and at least found the Rare Candy and so on and so forth, but we also don't have a fire energy in the discard pile yet, so it just seems pretty devastating for us. Now, we'll have a shot so long as my opponent doesn't have Boss's Orders this next turn, and I do have the Rare Candy, but again, I'm just missing a couple of pieces. We can Rare Candy that into Coalossal. I can evolve this into Carkol. I can put some energy into play. But again, we do not have the fire energy in the discard pile yet, so that's just going to be one use of that. And then we can pass, and hopefully my opponent does not have Boss's Orders in their hand, but they probably do, considering they have not played one yet. So I have to imagine that that would be a pretty easy card for them to get their hands on. If not, yes. Looks like they only have to deal 250 damage, so they're dealing 240. It's not a knockout. They've got the Boss's Orders, but, and there's the fire energy. Cool enough, so we can get that into the discard pile. And it is looking like it's going to be relatively close. So I'll Quick Ball that away, and we're just going to thin out that Rolycoly. I can use Pokemon Communication to go get myself another Coalossal, and my opponent could take a huge, 4 prize turn if they just, knock out the Sandaconda with either a dangerous drill or some sort of ping from, Galarian Zigzagoon if they have a scoop up net or something like that, and they have boss and, knock out my Crobat, then it could get really ugly. So that's the major fear here, I think. So we do have a pretty decent hand. I've got a switch in case I want it, but we're just going to go here. And yeah, I mean, Coalossal does not do nearly enough damage to knock out Eternatus, so I'm just going to go with the Sand Breath and then hope that they don't have much of a plan this next turn, but we will certainly see. I can always sacrifice one of my Coalossals if I end up needing to do that. Find Cramorant off the prizes, Rare Candy, and we'll see what this last one is, another Fire Energy. The hope is that they just have to swing into the Sandaconda for 10 damage with an Eternatus, but it looks like they are promoting this Eternatus, so I am worried that maybe they just have Boss's Orders in their hand. But instead it's a Marnie, so they will see some more cards. I still have the option to be able to win this game. Sure enough, there's a Sandaconda and a Boss's Orders. So if they just find Zigzagoon, they can ping this thing. I'll have to promote maybe Coalossal or something like that, maybe a scoop up net, and they'll get to swing into somebody new. But the fact that they have Eternatus in the active position is really, really good for me right now. I was worried that maybe they would take the knockout with a Hoopa or something like that, but sure enough, they just have to dread end, and now it's looking like this game is turning around. Like, we're gonna have the option to be able to win right here. So that is it's fantastic. I mean, I've got the Boss's Orders in my hand as well. So even if they had taken the knockout with a Hoopa, I would just be one switch card away from a knockout on Eternatus VMAX. And you could see, even though I was extremely close to losing this game, it only takes 2 turns in order to actually win. I only have to attack twice, right? And sure enough, here's our Sandaconda. We can use the tar generator, and I've grabbed the switch off of the Hapu, and that's just game. Easy as that. Switch, and we have got the Sand Breath for 1-hit KO, back-to-back 1-hit KOs, as Sandaconda takes the win. Looks like I'm going to be playing first. Got another matchup against Eternatus, and we open Jirachi, so that's fantastic. We've got the Sandaconda and the Rolycoly in our hand. We can Stellar Wish. And I think I'm going to kick this off by just grabbing a Pokemon Communication so that next turn, if I maybe Stellar Wish into a Quick Ball or something like that, I can get the turn 2 Coalossal into play. We're going to put an energy on Sandaconda and just pass it on over to my opponent, see what they've got going on. They're probably going to try and get that early Power Accelerator. Power Accelerator can set up their board so that they can deal with multiple Sandaconda. And despite the type advantage here, this matchup could still get really hairy, especially with Marnie in the situation. If my opponent Marnie's me to 4 cards, anything can happen. All they really need to do is knock out a Sandaconda V before I knock out an Eternatus or an Eternatus VMAX. So if they can get the first meaningful KO, they're on track to be able to win the game, because they can just win in 3 turns once they start attacking. They can knock out either 3 Sandaconda Vs or a Sandaconda, a Dedenne, and a Crobat or something like that. But I can win in 2 turns once I start attacking, as long as I'm hitting into VMAXs. But if my opponent doesn't evolve into VMAXs until they are ready to attack with them, they can kind of prevent that from being a thing. Now, I am curious here. They are putting a lot of damage on this Rolycoly. I was wondering if maybe they had the Boss's Orders and we're going to boss up my Rolycoly and knock it out with that Power Accelerator turn 1. That was something I was a little bit concerned of. But it looks like they don't have that as an option. So I'm pretty stoked here. We've got the Quick Ball Eldegoss. I think that this is just a great situation to be in. I can Quick Ball away the Eldegoss. Maybe go for a Crobat since I've already got the Coalossal in my hand. I think that that could be pretty good. Just maybe thin another Jirachi out of the deck. Just go here and then Quick Ball that away. And I'm going to Crobat to draw 4 cards. And then I get to Stellar Wish. So we have a lot of dig here. We're going to be able to dig. Yep, sure enough, between the 4 cards and Crobat, 5 cards on Stellar Wish, we were going to be able to dig 9 cards for that Rare Candy. It's one of the reasons that the Jirachi is just so good in this deck. And we're going to get to research and throw away that fighting and the fire. So we're getting a phenomenal setup. All I need at this point is a switch, which we have not found yet. So here we are looking for the switch, and we've got a switch. I guess I could have theoretically retreated, but it's cool. Never punished. We are going to use Tar Generator, accelerate these guys. Forgot that I had already attached to the Sandaconda, so I didn't actually need to manually attach there. Could have just retreated, but it's all good. We've got it. Turn 2 Sand Breath Knockout, and I've got this energy here for the benched one. And I think at this point, my opponent probably just out of the game. You can see how dominant this matchup is. If we just set up consistently, there's almost nothing Eternatus can do at this point. I think the best defense that Eternatus has against this Coalossal Sandaconda deck is to Marnie and hope that there is not, you know, I hope that I just dead draw, right? Is just Marnie me to 4 cards, hope I never get that Coalossal out. But you can see the board state is just so solid right now. It's so established, right? I mean, I've got the Coalossal out, I've got energies on both these dudes. My opponent can only do 90 damage with this Hoopa. And it looks like, yeah, they're just going to boss up the Coalossal, deal that 90 damage, and hope that maybe they can take out my Coalossal, maybe with some Zigzagoon Pings or something like that later in the match. But it certainly seems like a very tough spot to be in. We're going Toughness Cape down, and then I think the goal is to Hapu here to try and dig for the switch. I think that makes some sense. I could also Dedenne change, so we're going to Hapu first. That digs 5. I guess I could just let this whole hand go. It doesn't, none of it really matters. I've got an Eldegoss in the discard pile. If we Hapu for the switch, I could boss up, you know, Crobat. Nah, it doesn't really matter. I think that I like Hapu for the switch. 5 cards. I think that's fair. So we're going to go for that. Now I've got the Quick Ball. I do not find a switch, but we can still go Quick Ball, so I can still Dedenne out of this hand, and I think that's totally fine. And we can grab Cramorant as well, though I don't think that I'm going to end up using it. We're just sending everything else to the discard pile. I don't have enough energy in play to be able to attack with the Coalossal. So I think that at this point, we want to just load up as many of our dudes as we can. I'm going to put the Cramorant back into the deck and maybe thin something less meaningful, you know, something less important out. Like maybe one of these Coalossals seems fine. And then we're going to Quick Ball, get rid of the Research, and we're just going to Dedenne change. Now, I didn't use Research originally because I wanted to have a shot to maybe save that Boss's Orders. I think that could have been very good. But we've got 2 switch in the hand right now, so I'm going to switch into this 1 energy Sandaconda V, and we could just use Tar Generator to put these energy onto it, and then I should be fine. I mean, my opponent is just so far behind as far as the energy attachment and their own board goes that we can just kind of play hyper aggressively here. I've got the second Sandaconda kind of loaded up on the bench with the Toughness Cape on, means that my opponent would have to deal 270 damage to this thing in order to knock it out. So they would be very hard pressed, I think, to pull that off. And even though this Coalossal's only got 40 HP left, I'm going to be able to build up both of these Sandacondas to kind of just carry me the rest of the game, even if they are able to eventually take out my 1 Coalossal that I have in play. The rest of the bench is kind of jammed right now, but it doesn't really matter. We're just being the more aggressive deck. We're taking command of this match, and we're setting up fantastic. So I don't think that it's going to matter if I lose Tar Generator by next turn. Sure enough, my opponent does not even have enough space for an Eternatus. They got to just put down the Spiritomb and put an energy onto it. I don't have Boss's Orders or anything like that, but I do have the Cramorant just in case I end up using that. We're just going to use Tar Generator to accelerate again to the active, and we can see it's just kind of a beautiful machine. It just sets up, and once it's up and rolling, there's almost nothing that the opponent can do to stop it from just functioning every single turn. So that's really good. It kind of feels like Malamar in that way. If you're used to playing Malamar, just constantly recycling the energy out of the discard pile over and over again, it's really nice to have a board that is just so self-sustainable with that Coalossal in play. It kind of feels like Tapu Bulu in some ways as well. My opponent just has to go in with the Spiritomb, and I've got Boss's Orders for game. That's just it. We bring up the Crobat and Tar Generator, and it's really a beautiful deck. I mean, once it's set up and rolling, this is probably the most consistent engine I've seen for this deck so far, and I've played it quite a bit, but Hapu and Research with Jirachi just proving to be very successful for the Sandaconda V deck. And that's it for the video. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to like the video, sub to the channel, ring that bell, and of course, check out the Twitch stream, twitch.tv/TrickyJim, where I stream live Pokemon trading card game content every single weekday. We've got a really sweet, welcoming community over there, and we'd love to have you on board. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a great day. Peace.